I don't mind saying the first place I was a cop was in, well, I won't say the state, but in that state, I'll say for domestic violence, we had absolutely zero discretion. If we went to the scene of a domestic violence complaint and if there was any evidence of physical altercation, we have to assume guilt and make an arrest.
And usually that was the
Yeah.
dude, right?
Usually, and it's not because it's only dudes that strike their partners. It's because women are sneaky about it. They'll go for the hair where you're not going to see any marks or anything like that. They'll yank their partner's hair. They'll, slap them or something. Dudes, they get angry and they fucking lay you out. And yeah,
boom!
There's going to be a bruise. There's going to be a contusion, but that doesn't mean they're the only ones doing it.
Listen, I saw a woman at a bar once go just a little bit too far. And she broke this, it was like a wine carafe over this dude's head.
Yeah.
And laid him open. Like, I'm talking at least 10 stitches or staples to get that fixed.
Oof.
He does this. He stands up. He looks at his hand, and it's just full of blood. Blood's running down his face. And he just hit this bitch so fucking hard. I swear to God, her feet came off the ground. She was unconscious. They had to take her away in an ambulance.
Yeah.
And the cop showed up and just attacked this dude and ripped him apart. And, it was, and we're all like, no, this is what happened. And it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that needs to get fixed because, in my opinion, the women out there, they know the power that they wield. And they know it's, basically 3 numbers on the phone away. They can say whatever they want without any evidence. And more than likely, the dude's going to get hemmed up.
Yeah, and that's a really messed up thing because, if we're talking about just like simple assault or domestic violence, there is that factor to it. Luckily, the state I was talking about, they started leaning towards arresting both parties if there was
any violence.
Yeah, if there was evidence of violence on both parties, they just, instead of trying to find someone at fault, the legislature basically said it's going to turn into a giant he said, she said, arrest them both, screw it. Which, that's better than just the guy always being guilty by default. But
yeah,
it's difficult. And then if we're, I don't know if you want to take this in the sexual assault direction, but
no, we'll talk on that later. Because
okay, I'll put a bookmark in that one then. But yeah, it's I went to calls and listen, people will say things like women are more passive, they're more peaceful, they can get along better. I'll tell you straight up, the lesbian relationships were the most vicious domestic violence calls I ever went to.
I know.
Ever. I had one group of females. I think I was on nights at the time. I went to their house. They were close to domestic violence. They weren't quite there, but it was just verbal arguments, throwing stuff around. They didn't hurt each other yet, but I told them, listen, you got to go live somewhere else for a while. You got to cool off. This doesn't sound healthy. I tried to give them all the resources we're supposed to give them. Mm-hmm. That same night, I got off my shift, and then my buddy on midnights, he texted me before I went to bed, and he said, yeah, I'm back at that house. And then I guess the same thing happened 2 other times when I was off shift, and I ended up getting the warrant to go make an arrest with one of them because they just would not stop fighting.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Now, I had to intervene with one of my soldiers in New York. She was obviously a vertical liver licker, and it's like 6 o'clock at night. I am not even in the office. I'm just literally eating dinner.
Yep.
And this soldier calls me and is like, hey, I'm in a really bad situation. My partner called the cops. This is going to get bad for me. So I get my car. I roll over because she was like 2 towns away. I get there like 20 minutes later. The cops are there. And I'm like, hey, this woman is in my company. She's one of my soldiers. What's going on here? And once I showed up and started talking on behalf of my soldier, the cops changed their attitude a little bit.
Mm.
And nobody got arrested, even though I think there probably should have been an arrest because it looked like both had been thumping on each other. It looked pretty even.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, she had to. I basically took her back to the unit, had her sleeping on a cot until she could find different digs.
Yep, yep, and that's the thing that just annoys me in general about domestic violence. If that shit's gonna happen, you two weren't meant for each other. Just move on.
Correct.
Find something else. It's not worth trying to make it work. You're just gonna get more hurt, or they're gonna get more hurt, and it's just gonna get more serious.
Yeah, one of my he's passed away now. His last name was Qualls, black guy.
Mm,
He was a Green Beret in my special forces unit. Great dude, great dude. But he used to go to domestics all the time when he on the department, and he wanted to stay on patrol. This guy patrolled for like 26, 27 years. So, and what he would do is literally show up and be like, okay, you got two choices. You get in the back of the car and I'll take you somewhere. You can sleep it off or do what you got to do. Or I'm going to put the cuffs on you and put you in the back of the car and we're going to have to, do it the other way.
yeah.
There's the easy way and the hard way. What's it going to be? And then most of the time they'd pick the easy way and he would take them to like this, seedy hotel or something and get them a room and he would do everything in his power to make sure that he didn't have to put people into the system unnecessarily.
Mm-hmm.
And we need more of that from the police, I think.
We need that flexibility to an extent. The problem occurs obviously when people are being selective about who they offer that to.
Yes.
And really what we need is a legislative relook at some of this stuff and decide what is worthy of actual punishments and what is something where they just need to break them up and make it a civil thing,
Yeah. Like just think of all the court time and costs that's wasted because
it's insane. Yeah.
Two Twinkies decide they want to pull their multicolored hair out.
And then most of the time, the case is just going to be dismissed. The prosecutor is going to say, I don't want it, but, we're paying the prosecutor's salary. We're paying the judge's salary. We're propping up this apparatus that isn't working. And half of the time when it works, it's not actually bringing justice, but it's bringing what some people might consider to be justice.
Yeah. And that's another thing I think that's making it really bad is all of these laws. It's just adding more bureaucracy, which is just becoming incredibly brutal on the common man.
Yeah.
Because bureaucracy is a bitch.
I mean, I know you've been in the Army. I'm also in the Army Reserve. Okay. I'm getting up to that. I'm actually I've worked at a division level and I see how slowly things move and I see how slowly regulations change and I see it's all the really ridiculous things slowing it down. There could be a streamlined way of doing it. I'm all about the process. You have to do things the right way, but yeah, bureaucracy kills people and it makes people not want to serve, honestly.
Oh yeah. We can we can get to that. I put together a couple of courses. I did administrative violence divorce edition, administrative violence working man survival guide, and I'm actually working on administrative violence military edition.
Oof, we need that.
Yeah, because a lot of these young EMs don't understand how the system works.
No, they have no idea.
They get pushed around and treated like shit, even though they shouldn't.
Yep.
And there's when I was, they hated me because I always came to the defense of the underdog.
Yep.
Why that is, I don't know.
It's the American thing to do, and I'll get into that a little later.
Like for instance, I had a guy in one of my companies, and he was getting divorced, and he moved out of the house back into the barracks, so there wouldn't be any drama. Well, she comes to the unit bitching and moaning about how she has no fucking money, blah, blah, blah. And the first sergeant and the commander are like trying to get this guy to give up his entire paycheck or most of it because he lives in the barracks.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like going to give him an Article 15 if he doesn't comply. And I'm literally like, okay. I'm like, First Sergeant, you are fucking up by the numbers here. This is undue command influence, number one. Number two, the regulations do not support what you're ordering this guy to do. So if you give him an Article 15 on unlawful orders from undue command influence, you're both going to get hemmed up here. So this is what's going to happen. She's entitled to his BAH. That is it.
Yep.
And that's what happened. But
I love it when people don't understand the regs or how something works, and they just kind of, because they're the commander, they think they can dictate. Yeah, they think they can dictate how it goes. I had actually my old first sergeant. He was suicidal, and I ended up talking him down.
Good for you.
Getting him help. Coordinated like a 3-town search for the guy. Found him, talked him down. He's great. He's still in. He's doing fantastic. But the battalion commander at the time was like, "Well, he's done. He can't be an MP anymore, because he had this emotional event." And I'm like, "No, sir, that's not how it works. That's actually not what they're teaching us right now."
Yeah.
So I had to go to bat for him and make sure that he didn't get his clearance taken away or anything like that.
Yeah, and if they revoke your clearance, it is hard to get back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and because I worked as an S2, and
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I actually I've received half a dozen requests from up higher to revoke people's clearances.
Of course.
And 3 of them I didn't, because it was like a tit for tat, crybaby, somebody's feelings got hurt kind of shit.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, that's not really going to work out. If I revoke this person's clearance because you have a personal problem with him, and then he gets the IG involved, and then I'm going to get hammered, I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Just look, put on some boxing gloves, work it the fuck out. This is stupid. The other 3 actually did shit that, was worthy of revoking a clearance, like plugging a thumb drive into a secret computer.
Ah, brilliant.
Big note.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hammered that guy for that. Especially after, we gave him like 1 warning and went to like, 2 classes to educate him in regards to what you can and cannot do.
Wow.
But, it is what it is. So during your 7 years of patrolling, how many, on what percentage would you say you had to go on domestics?
Oh, domestics all the time. If it was evenings, especially, we just expected to be going to domestics pretty much all night. It was traffic, domestics, and then every once in a while we'd get either a burglary or something like that.
Oh, the fun ones.
Yeah.
I gotcha. So, so the domestics are burning up a lot of our taxpayers' time, is what you're trying to say.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And most of them don't even end up being domestics. It's just a verbal argument or something stupid, didn't meet any of the statutes.
Yeah. Or if, like, I've had a couple soldiers get hemmed up, and all they did was walk past the woman on the way out the door.
Oh, wow.
It didn't, and like just pushed her aside and left. And
yeah, thankfully I didn't have too many of those, but yeah, that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. And that one, whoa! I remember having to go to court with that guy, and I was I testified as a character witness.
Yep.
Because I worked with a guy in the regular, and I'm like, he's not a violent dude. It's just not his thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, how could you tell he's not a violent dude? I'm like, because I'm a fucking killer. I am the pinnacle of violence. I know another violent person when I meet them.
I've trained my entire career in violence. How else do you expect someone to know?
Yeah. He is not that guy.
Exactly. I'm that guy.
Yeah. But listen, you can tell. You hang out with enough killers, you understand who the killers are and who aren't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
not just the killers, but the people who take action rather than think things through or talk things through. You get a feel for them.
The guys who just go in, they have two speeds: stop and destroy. There's like nothing in between.
I always loved when I got that guy as my backup partner. Like if it wasn't really a domestic and I had the situation under control and I was just talking people down, and then that guy showed up and he just keyed everyone up, I was like, Jesus Christ, here comes an entire night of paperwork, He's gonna piss the wrong person off. It's gonna become assault on an officer. Here we go.
Or worse, it could turn into a federal lawsuit.
Yeah.
Those guys. I mean, that's becoming more prominent nowadays.
Oh yeah.
And listen, I myself know a lot of police officers because a lot of officers also serve in the military. So I've probably served alongside with probably 500 plus, either federal police officers or just local police officers.
Yep.
Across 33 years in the military. All right. For the most part, they were all pretty good. There was a couple guys that, this is like National Guard units that were working as officers, and you would hear some of the shit they would do. And there was a couple unsavory guys who literally would verbally instigate people and then relish in just kicking their ass, tasing them, or whatever.
Yeah, the power trippy types.
Yeah. Listen, that we don't need power trippy guys in the police department.
No, absolutely not. And the wild thing is you can always spot them. Like in the academy, I knew who the problems were going to be, but that's like gut feeling. You don't have the evidence to do anything about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, turns out 2 or 3 years later, they got arrested for doing something stupid, throwing a handcuffed prisoner against the jail cell wall, dumb shit like that.
Yeah. Did you hear about that case about that one dude that died in county jail from basically hypothermia?
Was it recent?
No, I think it was in the last 18 months.
I actually haven't heard about that one. I'm surprised. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. He got arrested on some bullshit.
Yep.
Goes to jail and then dies of hypothermia.
And it's just like unlivable conditions in the jail, or was he like...
They actually put him into a refrigerator and a restraint chair to punish the guy, and he died.
Oh my God. I did not hear about that. Holy shit.
I mean, that's the kind of shit that you would figure there'd be like 500 armed people outside the department ready to start putting people in the dirt because that's unacceptable.
No one cares. It wasn't on camera and it wasn't a protected demographic.
Yeah, you're probably right.
That's just how it goes.
But that is insane. I don't even know what happened with that. I think they swept it under the rug or whatever. The media doesn't really report on that.
No, they don't care. It's not going to get them more viewership.
Yeah, I got you. So you would say that the domestic violence calls of like the gay people are worse than straight people, or just lesbians?
So I would say if I was talking in mixed company and I had to be diplomatic, I'd say they're people. They fight just like straight couples. But no kidding, lesbians are vicious.
Watch Grunt Speak live every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to join Popp for Supporter Sundays, go to redonkulous.com/donate and make a monthly pledge. A link is in the Meat Gazer box.